Yeah, so look, we've got this cache of documents which reveals a very clear money trail. That starts with Hancock Prospecting on one end and ends up with the Liberal Party on the other end, and specifically its fundraising arm called the Australian Business Network. What we see is that in May 2020, a deal is struck between the Chief Financial Officer on behalf of Hancock and this small company called the Sydney Mining Club. Hancock describes that deal as a sponsorship deal. After that, we see some invoices, or specifically one invoice, in which Hancock is invoiced for $190,000. Now, that money, then we can see that that money flows from Hancock Prospecting to the Sydney Mining Club. We then see some emails within the Sydney Mining Club between employees of the Sydney Mining Club who say that that money is not to be kept and is not to go into our high interest account, for example. Instead, that's to go straight out to the Liberal Party's fundraising arm, the Australian Business Network. We then see that money flow. Now, although it's described as a sponsorship of the Sydney Mining Club, there is no promotion of Hancock on the Sydney Mining Club's website, at any events that the Sydney Mining Club has held. Most other sponsors that we can tell get banners at the events and on the website. What we also see that is crucial here is that email that shows that employees at the Sydney Mining Club saying that the money is to go straight on. We've also spoken to a former employee of the Sydney Mining Club, and she says that it was clear to her that the arrangement was suggested by Hancock and that the money was to flow on. Now, we asked Hancock whether that was their intention, and they didn't provide answers about that. So basically, we've seen that the money trail from beginning to end flow from Hancock to the Liberal Party.
So is it the case that people giving money to political parties need to declare it, and what was declared in all of this?
Well, yeah, look, frankly, the laws around declarations like this are complex and not entirely clear, I think, to pretty much anyone involved in it. But there are obligations for all groups to declare donations. The question is whether what counts as a donation, or what's called a gift actually under the law. So the one thing that was declared here was something by the Liberal Party. The Liberal Party declared $144,000 was received from the Sydney Mining Club. What we don't see in that declaration is any involvement of Hancock Prospecting. Now, it was declared not as a donation, but under a separate category that political parties declare called other receipts, which is for things, monies received over the declarable threshold, which aren't gifts. Now, the mining club itself didn't declare anything, and there's a question here, it probably didn't need to. At least according to the Australian Electoral Commission, it doesn't need to, and some experts. The Liberal Party has this group called the Australian Business Network, which is a forum where businesses can come to events and meet politicians, MPs, the Prime Minister when they're in power. That costs sometimes over $100,000. It's a fundraising arm for the Liberal Party, but because the contributors, the businesses joining that, get something in return for their money, under the law, it seems it may not count as a gift or a donation, and if that's the case, it doesn't need to be declared. Then there's a separate question, whether or not Hancock needed to declare this money. Now, that's very, very, very complicated. We've spoken to a number of experts who have differing views about that. What we know is that Hancock didn't declare it by the legal deadline. But when we put in detailed questions to them, they responded with a one-line response. They said, Hancock has become aware of a deficiency in disclosure and has already rectified it with a disclosure. So we can't say what they've declared exactly in that disclosure, because before I came into the studio here, it hadn't yet been published on the AEC's website. But the AEC has confirmed to us that they've received an amended disclosure from Hancock and that it will be published soon.
And so what is the Sydney Mining Club?
Well, the Sydney Mining Club is a club of miners. They get together regularly for lunches and dinners where there are speeches. Gina Reinhart has presented at a couple of those events and in fact was awarded by the Sydney Mining Club this award that they called Miner of the Decade in 2015. There have been other presentations by Adani and the New South Wales Minerals Council, who are both sponsors of the club. It's run by this man, Julian Melnick, who is the chairman. He's been involved in a lot of relatively small mining clubs, a number of relatively small mining companies over the years. And many of them are sort of trying to push the boundaries, I suppose, of where mining goes. One of them was a deep sea mining a company, and another was a space mining company. And there's been a number of more conventional ones as well along the way.
And Michael, what responses have you got on this?
Well, so I spoke to Julian Melnick on the phone about this, and I put to him that we understood that the money came from Hancock, the money that went to the Liberal Party. He denied that. He said it didn't come from Hancock. He said it came from across the sponsors that they have. But then the next day he did email the sponsors and say the money didn't come from you, it didn't come from the sponsors. After that, he didn't answer detailed questions that we've put to him. Hancock didn't answer detailed questions either, but they did provide that statement where they've told us that they've discovered a deficiency in their disclosure and rectified it. And the Liberal Party responded and basically said that they've made all their declarations that are required under the law.